Welcome to our channel. In this video, we'll take a close look into the mind of Jeffery Dahmer, one of history's most known serial murderers. The savage killings of 17 men and boys by Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, between 1978 and 1991 stunned the whole globe. But what possessed him? What underlying reasons led him to carry out such horrific deeds? We will examine the characteristics that Dahmer and other serial murderers have in common while also digging into the twisted minds of these individuals via a psychiatric perspective. So take a seat and follow us as we unearth the horrific facts that drive serial killers' actions. Number 1. Predatory behavior.
Predatory conduct is the serial murderer feature that is most prevalent. The chase and capture of prey for nourishment exhibits similar behavior in animals, but serial murderers frequently follow their victims or act impulsively when they spot a possible victim. In his 2017 Sociology Mind article, Serial Murderer: The Mechanism from Imagination to the Murder Phases, Nicola Malizia describes the stages that a serial killer will go through, beginning with dreaming about murder. The act grows increasingly sexually explicit with each daydream until the killer develops a need on it. Eventually, the dream is insufficient, and the act is carried out in the actual world. Malizia claims that after the first murder, the murderer may develop a routine that includes following a victim, killing them, and frequently preserving mementos or trophies from their victims. These may include pictures, jewelry, and intimate apparel. In Jeffrey Dahmer's instance, he would stalk his victims before persuading them to return to his flat, where he would drug them to death, consume them, and take pictures of the victims along with their bones.
Number 2. Lack of empathy.
Empathy, according to Psychology Today, is the capacity to acknowledge, comprehend, and share another person's, animals, or fictional characters' thoughts and feelings. Malizia does point out in their article, nevertheless, that many serial killers are raised in settings that are not conducive to cultivating empathy. Physical, sexual, psychological, and emotional deprivation are some of the various traumas which the subject suffers during childhood which create the basis for future criminal conduct, explains Malizia in their article. Famous killers like Dahmer and fellow Wisconsinite Ed Gein may have been less sympathetic because of their difficult upbringings. Famous murderers Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy have APD diagnoses. Dahmer was identified as having BPD, a condition that makes it challenging to have empathy due to impulsivity, mood swings, and issues building interpersonal relationships.
Number 3. The need for control.
Another notable characteristic of serial murderers is their demand for control. According to Psychology Today, a serial killer's main motivation is to dominate and control their victims. They see power in murder. They possess the power to influence the actions, lifespan, and manner of death of their victims. A lot of serial killers experience sexual desire while planning and carrying out a crime. Because it gives the killer a sense of control, rape is frequently used in these cases. Outside in this circumstance, it's likely that the victim would turn down the killer's approaches. However, when the murderer is in charge, they do not worry about being rejected.
It's my fucking mannequin! I told you not to go in there! That is my room! That is my stuff! Don't fucking tell me where it is!
Number 4. Deceitful and manipulative.
Control is a common trait among serial killers, and it can manifest in different ways. Deceit and manipulation are two examples of how serial killers can exert control over their victims. Ted Bundy is a well-known example of a serial killer who used manipulation as a means of gaining control over his victims. He would pretend to have a disability or an injury requiring a cast, and then use this to lure his victims into a false sense of security, before raping and murdering them. This tactic is not uncommon among serial killers, as they often use whatever means necessary to gain control over their victims and carry out their twisted desires.
Number 5. The McDonald Triad.
The McDonald Triad focuses on 3 characteristics that a future serial murderer could exhibit while they are young. Animal abuse, bedwetting, and starting fires are the 3, albeit further analysis is required to establish that the McDonald Triad is a prelude to serial killing. These characteristics imply the murderer lacks empathy and self-control. Several creatures, including a jar of tadpoles that Jeffery Dahmer had killed after giving them to his instructor, were known to have perished at his hands. He would also bleach the bones of roadkill after dissecting it. Ted Bundy would manipulate and murder mice found at pet stores. And it's been said that John Wayne Gacy used gasoline to set wild turkeys on fire. Despite the fact that not all serial killers display this characteristic, many do.
Thank you for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel.